Hi guys, and welcome to another Strelak C++ tutorial. This is a re-recording of the lesson about structures because from the feedback I got, I understand that my last one was not as accurate as I'd hope, and after rewatching it I understood that I actually did a very poor job of making a tutorial on structures, so I'll try again. And be sure to leave your feedback, so it's nice if you tell me how I can improve and do everything like that. So I'll try to explain everything a little bit more clearly, so we might go a little slower, but that's okay. So first we have to include the libraries for this particular example. So I'm gonna put #include IOStream, which is our usual input and output library, input and output stream, include conio.h. The conio.h, here I'll just put a comment, or actually here I'll put a comment, allows the use of get character function and kb hit. That's, well, we won't be using kb hit in this example, but it's just a good thing to know that it's useful for that. kb hit just returns a value whether the keyboard was hit or not, and it's used for in-game loops, I guess. So well, let's stick with that for the moment. And once again we declare our main function. The using namespace is td, we need that. And now we need, if we want to work with structures, they're very similar to classes. The only difference between structures and classes is that structures by default have all data members that are public instead of private. So if I declared a class called box and didn't put any keywords in there and just put 3 data types, so let me do that. Class box int length, int width, int height. So if I just did this, int length, width, and height will be private by default because all the class members are private by default. Of course, I could put a keyword here that says public, and so then these 3 data values will be accessible from outside of the class. But instead of doing that, I could just put struct box, which will do the same things pretty much. So all of these data members, all of these are public, so we can access them from outside. Now you'd be wondering, why would you want to use structs, and what is the purpose of structures in the language? Actually, there is no real purpose of them in the language. The only reason they were included in C++ is for backward compatibility with C. So in the C language there were structures, and so to keep the code compatible of the structure code, they made a structure data type in C++. So that's pretty much it about like the basic crackdown on structures, and I guess more detail, I don't know, that's all I know the purpose of them. It's basically for holding data values, and if you want to access them, another good way of holding a data type is a union, but we'll be covering that in another lesson. A union shares the memory space between different objects. So here we declared a simple structure, and we can declare an instance of it, my box, for example, or we can just leave it at that and declare an instance of it in main, which I'm gonna do. But again, the choice is up to you where you declare it. So here's int main, and now I declare a new instance, so box, my box, or whatever. And so now I have an instance of a box, which is my box, which is pretty much it's a box, so it has a length, it has width and a height, but we haven't declared them yet, so let's do that. So they're declared a bit differently than classes are, but only a bit. So here we open the curly brackets and we type first the length, so let's say the length of my box is 40, comma. So a comma specifies that we go to the next member. So now we specify the width. The width of my box has to be 64. I like that number. And the height of my box will be 11. Just because I feel like it. I don't know. So this is we declared a new box by box, and so we can see out the length of my box is, so we can work with this pretty much as a class. This is a class and now we use the class reference operator. You remember that? My box, you put this well, it's in PHP it's a concatenation operator, but in C++ it's actually a reference operator. Well, so you go to my box and take length, and that's it. Now you can see out the width, well, of my box is, and my box width. Now this is not the only thing you can do. I never said that functions are not allowed in structures. They are, and so remember me saying that it's pretty much the same thing as a class, but all the data members are public instead of private by default. That's what it is. So we can make a void area. Sure, why not? And we can just return length times width times height. So we're just working with it the same as a class. We would declare this in a class. Sure, and now I say the area of my box is, or I don't know, I guess you can say my box, just so that we know exactly, just so that we keep the names the same everywhere. And my, same as a class, my box area. So, and now let's do the get. That's why we included the CONIO here. And let's see. Let's well, we don't have to type the return 0 anyways, just to fit it all in one page. And let's compile it and run this. And I don't know, this is gonna be structs, I don't know, for example. And anyway, return length times width times height. Oh, right, sorry, we have to make this since it returns something, we have to make this an integer. My bad. Primary expression before I don't know, frankly. I'll have to look it up and I'll be right back with you. Well, hi, I'm back and I'm gonna sprint through this. So I was just missing an equal statement assignment operator here, and let's see. Okay, so that should be it. Just need to put an NDL here everywhere, and this program works now. So execute, compile, and run. And as you see, here's our answers. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. See you in the next one.